Well, we appear to be straight in this week, folks. I didn't realise I had it set on the main page, but you know what? We're 10 minutes late. I think we can afford to skip the pleasantries just this once. It's been a nice kind of week off since Easter Sunday here in the UK. I mean, sometimes it's a nice thing just to take a breather. I mean, the only times we take a breather is just before Christmas and then coming back at the end of January. And then we have... It varies with the summer break. Sometimes it's the end of July. In the case of last year, it wasn't until the end of June, but that was only because I was moving house at the time, so it didn't make sense to keep the season 8 going longer than it needed to, because there was no telling of when I would get the internet back up. And to be fair, in my apartment, I didn't get furniture wise the way I wanted it until maybe 2 months down the line. And only then it was somewhat manageable, for want of a better description. But, more or less settled in now. And let's get in with some topics. And Gal Gadot has shared the last set photo on filming of a live-action Snow White. Yeah, I'm confused by that as well. I mean,
quiz me?
Disney is currently filming their live-action remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I'm surprised the PC Brigade hasn't come after them for that. Which will see West Side Story star Rachel Zegler. Oh dear. I say oh dear because she's known for stirring drama on Twitter. I will leave it no more than that. While the production has faced some unexpected challenges, it sounds like things are back on track. Last year it was revealed that Wonder Woman star would be taking the role of the Evil Queen. And the actor just announced that she was wrapped for... I had no idea she was playing the antagonist. Last day on Snow White with the best team ever. Hashtag Evil Queen. Didn't realize Elton John was coming into this. Gadot wrote in her Instagram stories this weekend. Oh, to be fair, he would actually go and say that. Steve, if you remember this, on an audience with Elton John, he actually went and said, I guess it's my turn to be Cruel Queen tonight.
I vaguely remember hearing something about that, but I'm not too sure.
He had, I think, 2 duets. He had one with Sting, doing kind of a pseudo cover of one of his songs, I Want Love, and he did a cover of Don't Go Breaking My Heart with Kiki D, but he did the duet or dual performance with the Spice Girls. And no surprise required, Sporty was the only one who was giving it, whereas Posh was just going through the motions. Although one of my friends, I don't know if she'll listen to this later, but Sarah, you might put nightmare fuel into Lid's and Raiden's head. She referred to Posh Spice as, and I quote, Skeletor.
God damn.
Oh my.
Oh, wow.
Now just imagine Alan Oppenheimer's voice coming out of Posh Spice's mouth.
Oh, God. No.
Do. Posh Spice. Now people are going to say, we want a female Skeletor. Do you really?
Nah.
Speaking of that off topic, I finally got to watching a little bit of the first episode of season 2. Man, you weren't kidding about Stratos. God damn.
You just want to come up and bitch slap him.
Oh yeah, I was like just so. Okay, a part of me likes him, a part of me is annoyed.
I call it like I see it, my friend. There's so much I can't share with you that will actually answer the question, Godot replied when Variety asked what drew her to this iteration of the Evil Queen. The take on this story is so different and delightful and full of joy. I'm very, very excited. I wish I could share more. When the movie was first announced, Disney President of Production Sean Bailey spoke to Vulture about the decision to revive Snow White. We were given an incredible opportunity to discover what we wanted to be as a live-action team. We were given a lot to think about. We thought, what if Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America are Marvel superheroes, then maybe Alice, Cinderella, Mowgli, and Belle are our superheroes, and Cruella, Maleficent are our supervillains. I kind of get where they're going.
I guess.
Kind of, because Maleficent and Cruella, that's basically a female version of Loki. So that on that part, I get it. But with Alice, Cinderella, Mowgli, and Belle, they are protagonists, yes. Superheroes, no.
No.
I mean, maybe there's an alternate universe where Mowgli was exposed to gamma rays in the jungles of India, and he's somehow a child Hulk. Although it's basically a child Hulk is basically a 10-year-old having a tantrum on a good day.
Or if you want to go down another route, basically make Mowgli to be the Indian version of Tarzan.
Yeah,
Boy,
yeah,
Boy of the Jungle.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or George of the Jungle, even.
Hey, I like that. Just make it the Brendan Fraser version, and we're good.
Yeah, because his was the remake, wasn't it?
It kind of, yeah, it was a remake, yeah.
They said they didn't cast him in the sequel.
No, they did.
Yeah.
They actually mentioned that in the first scene of the movie. It's like studio didn't have money to hire back Brendan Fraser.
So Alice. I wouldn't quite compare her to Black Widow. Belle, dependent on which version you follow, because I pretend that the live-action version didn't happen, because here's the thing.
What live-action version?
We don't talk about that.
Here's the thing. I like Luke Evans as Gaston. I felt like he was the only one who was trying.
Yeah.
It's been so many years since I've seen the original animated version. Was Belle known for tinkering around with machinery and whatnot, or is that an invention of the live-action movie?
Probably live-action movie.
That was more of her dad. Belle was basically more as this like curious, especially she wanted more in life instead of just like the same old stuff she sees every day.
Bookworm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, because neither Alice, Cinderella, or Belle are magically enhanced, so that rules out the comparison to Scarlet Witch. If we went by the live-action version, I suppose you could compare Belle with Tony Stark a little bit, because she's known for tinkering, but I don't think any of them compare with superheroes, because they're just the female protagonist leads. That's it.
I think they're pushing the superhero thing way too much, as they do own Marvel, and
Yeah.
also, oh man, Your brother went in early.
Oh yes, on what they've done with Spider-Man.
My brother goes in on something. What day is it?
I know.
Especially after his verbal assassination of America Chavez 5 years ago.
Oh, I still have nightmares.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, it's on YouTube if anybody's interested. But considering this time, apparently, for some reason, everybody hates Spider-Man now, and so he's forced into working for Norman Osborn. Yes, Green Goblin Norman Osborn.
What?
Why?
Huh?
Okay.
Because apparently the writers have just run out of ideas after the whole Spider-Beyond thing when Ben Reilly took over Ben Reilly was the one and only Spider-Man in the Beyond Corporation's eyes because of trademarks. Yes, they went there. And for some reason, Mary Jane's now a negotiator for Mutant Nation. No, not Genosha. They've set up another one, and apparently, according to Random's words, a villain now basically wants to use Mary Jane as, I'm not going to say it out loud because of Twitch guidelines, but let me just type out here in the chat, here in the Discord chat.
Okay.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus.
That's according to Random.
You might be like,
I do trust his word over anything, over like what other things people say. So that's a scary sight. But say what you will with your bro, but he does speak his truth, and outside of it, the truth does hurt, even if it is him.
Can you imagine if Oni hears this later? Wait, what's this? Kitsune? Yes. I'm going to sit down and watch 2 days of TNA non-stop with my eyes glued open.
Please don't.
I guess we're doing the Clockwork Orange treatment then.
Yes, and after that, I will watch 6 hours of Elman being kind, serene, with fluttering eyelashes. Everyone's like, ugh!
Oh my lord.
Who are you and what have you done with the real Oni Rikaku?
I've been given tranquilizers. Kitsune, I'm going to be pleasant and kind. Raiden, you are a fine and decent gentleman, and you deserve a monument. Bruh?
Give me a second. Let me correct this behavior. Bonk.
Wait, what happened?
But yeah.
Oh, Mickey James, how you doing? Oh, well, hello there.
Close enough.
Wait, oh, night? Yes, I will behave.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Kitsune looking at her watch thinking, I'll give it 10 minutes.
That's why I'm sticking to stuff outside of the main continuity of Marvel Comics right now, especially because even that is just messed up at the moment. They just don't. They're trying anything at the moment to draw in people to read the comics.
I can't lie to you. It reminds me way too much of the Ultimate Universe.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, okay, because in the Ultimate Comics, Red Skull is actually Captain America's son.
Okay.
Oh dear Lord, no.
Yeah, that shit was wild.
Well,
now I'm just being reminded of some of the storylines. Oh.
It's not. Well, put it this way. At least it's not as messed up as the one movie pitch idea they had for Superman, and I think this was the one that Nick Cage was attached to. Right. Superman at some point dies, within this movie, but because he and Lois had intimacy, she gives birth to their son, but he has Superman's mind, memory, and spirit, and he grows up to full adulthood within the space of a week. No kidding, that was actually a pitch.
Oh, Lord.
Ay, ay, ay.
Who keeps coming up with this rubbish?
I don't know. Anyway, back to the article, otherwise we'll never get through this evening.
Yeah.
Maybe if there's a way to reconnect with that affinity for what those characters mean to people in a way that gets the best talent and uses, the best technology, that could become something really exciting. It feels very Disney. I would question that very heavily, because what I define as Disney is joyful, carefree, innocence of yesteryear. These days, they're changing things for the sake of changing things. I'll let you come to your own conclusions on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Playing to the competitive advantages of this label. Rachel's extraordinary abilities are just the beginning of her gifts, director Mark Webb said of Zegler's casting. Her strength, intelligence, and optimism will become an integral part of discovering the joy in this classic Disney fairy tale. It's an iconic cartoon, it's a movie, there's a fine difference between a cartoon and an animated movie. A cartoon is only something that's short length, whereas an animated movie is feature length. Mark Webb said it is so dedicated to making a hero princess for his daughter. Okay. He told Zegler told the Associated Press, "I really love the sentiment. I hope it get echoed for all eternity when we make live-action versions of these Disney cartoons, movies, where women are seen as a little bit less than the male characters. I think it's possible to be both a princess and a hero, and I like to be both." Okay, I agree with her on that perspective. What I think needs to happen is don't do a thing where you put the male characters down. And this is something that Liz has said in the past. Stop trying to say that women are smarter, better, more intelligent, because women have their low moments in movies as well, where they make poor decisions and they go down paths that they later regret. So to have this thing where women are perfect, there's no such thing. And Liz is the first lady of awesome, and even she's seen plenty of female characters that really should have made better choices, and even real life figures like that we don't like to talk about, the Kardashians. I mean, yeah, there are plenty of male dumbass characters that need to be backhanded on a daily basis, but to say that women don't make any mistakes and are far superior than men, here's the thing that some people don't realize: you can't fight sexism with sexism. That's not how this works. It's like, it's like how Raider would say, okay, you're gonna fight stupidity with stupidity. This is why you get slandered.
Me and Liz would agree that there's one woman that we will still slander to this day, and her name is something out of an American Girl thing. Yep, she gets it.
Snow White does not yet have a release date, so this is probably going to be visual effects heavy, but the production is still taking place in the UK. Okay, what to think? I mean, we knew for a while there was going to be a live-action Snow White, but I didn't know that Wonder Woman herself was going to be the evil queen. Now, on one hand, it's good that she's not being typecast, that she can be versatile and play different type of roles where she can be the antagonist, she can be the hero, she can be, you know, the kick-ass agent, and Han in Fast 5 and Fast 6, you lucky son of a bitch.
Right.
Especially that moment in Fast 5 where she goes to get the handprint. You'll never see that happen in cinema today. Jeez Louise.
Yeah. Oh, I can't lie to you, I go back to that scene a lot.
I'm not surprised. And the way that Han is just like eating away at the chips, going, I need another bag, this just got good. I like how Tej and Roman are like, wait, how'd you get it? Really? Damn! I like how they're like looking at the piece of clothing like, yeah, and it's just like, dude! But Gal Gadot, I don't know what it is about her, but she's another one that doesn't age.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Fast 5 was 2011.
Yeah.
And it's been 12 years since that's out. So what age is Gal now? Wow, I would have never pegged her for 36.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, born April 30, 1985, so she's 37 in just 6 days.
Wow.
So how old was she when she did Fast 5? Let's see. Wow, she was 26. So
Wow.
she had to be one of the younger ones. Oh, hey Dan.
Yo.
He's got
Hello.
an emoji of a ghastly, and it's morphin time. Okay.
Yes.
So, just to
Where you got those from? Sorry.
Good
I
question.
have no idea. So let's see. I haven't seen any of Rachel Zegler's work as an actress, so I'll give my opinion on enough of what I see from the unnecessary Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs remake, and it'd be interesting to see Gal as an antagonist, because thus far she's always played a protagonist. So for her to make this jump, it'll be intriguing, but proof in the pudding is in the eating. And with that, we go to our First Lady of Awesome and our Queen, Awesome Lydia. What do you make of this?
I don't know. Like trying to turn fairy tale characters into superheroes. I'm like, that could work to a certain degree, but it's like you got to do it correctly. Otherwise, it's just gonna come off as pretentious and preachy.
Kind of like
Or
Tila in the Masters of the Universe continuation.
Bingo. But again, I could see that happening. And I don't know what they're gonna do with Gal's evil queen character. If they're gonna make it like Snow White and the Huntsman's evil queen, where it's like,
about that.
yeah, because they've done the hot evil queen, and Charlize Theron has some big shoes to fill. But if what they're doing is what they're doing, and I'm not against it, I will have to have face what it is once I see a trailer for it. Until then, I don't really have like a solid opinion until I see it for myself. But I'm not against it. But again, it's a wait and see kind of thing for me.
And to one of our own dashing knights, the Cyber Raiden. What do you make of this?
I'm kind of the same boat with Liz. I kind of want to see a trailer when it happens. I don't know. For me, when it comes to these old fairy tale movies, reimagining, I don't know. I still stick with the classics, but I do like, you know, if it's good or not, that iterations go to a different length. Like For example, does anyone remember way back in 2013 where Jeremy Renner, aka Hawkeye, was Hansel and Gretel's witch hunters?
Yeah, I remember
Vaguely
that.
remember that.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
Steve?
I was just going to say, it reminds me of when Chris Hemsworth was the huntsman in Snow White and the Huntsman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I mean, if it's a good rendition, I'll deal with it. But if it's like pretentious, yes, because I don't know. When I hear Rachel Zegers say some stuff like that, it just wanted way too much of that really overdone Charlie's Angels movie that people don't talk about anymore.
Down coming angel. Man, shut the fuck up.
Exactly. But yeah, that is a major turnoff for me so far. But yeah, like I said, I'll look for a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'll never be excited to watch a old school Disney princess movie. You know, so yeah, we'll see. I hope everything goes well. I was wondering who's going to cast the Seven Dwarfs. That's the main thing for me.
Considering we've got the live-action Little Mermaid remake coming up, which
Oh, I forgot about that.
well,
Yeah,
there was going to be a live-action reimagining from Universal that would have seen Chloe Moretz as Ariel, but to my understanding, there were creative differences between the director and the studio, and Chloe basically said, look, I've got faith in this director's vision. If she's gone, you lose me. Now,
That kind of sounds like what happened with Natalie Portman in Thor: The Dark World, because Patty Jenkins was originally supposed to direct that movie, but I guess Disney didn't take to any of her ideas. She walked, and Natalie Portman got pissed, and she left Marvel for a bit. So.
also, I've seen like photos like in between takes. Natalie has really put in the hours to make herself a little bit more athletic looking, because she's definitely, I wouldn't necessarily say buff, but she's definitely a lot more toned on the upper arms. She looks like she's put in the time for this.
Mm-hmm.
And fair play to her. As for the live action Little Mermaid, I'm not saying they have to, copy page for page like they did with the original movie, because they did this for The Lion King, if you recall. What I'd like to see, have the basic DNA of the original animated story, but change it up enough so that it's respecting the previous, but doing enough of its own thing to where it can tell a different story, but still being faithful. That's what I would like to see. And Sir Stephen, your thoughts on, Gal being the evil queen, so basically evil Wonder Woman.
Interesting casting choice with Gal Gadot. Overall, I'm a bit cautious about the whole thing, because if you look at the history of animation, Snow White was the first ever theatrical animated release that was ever released to the public, if you recall.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a make or break situation for Disney in those early years. So it's just doing a film with that kind of height, remaking a film which has such a high regard in terms of animation. I'm just wondering. I just have the feeling that it's just tarnishing on the original's legacy. I'm just mostly on the side of caution. Don't get me wrong, it's nice to do a remake now and then, but when you do it to some of these legacy kind of films, it kind of just cheapens it, in my opinion. But that's me.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, makes sense.
There is an article. For whatever reason, I didn't add this to the list, but considering we've just gone to the subject of Disney, why Disney stopped making 2D animated movies? Because truth be told, I'd actually like to see them do a 2D animated movie again, because I feel like that's almost a lost art. The Princess and the Frog marked Disney's last 2D animated movie. Here's why the studio stopped and instead moved towards 3D animation. And here's the thing. For so long, it was just Pixar that was doing all the 3D movies. Then they were like a very special niche studio to go to. And then Disney started doing 3D animated movies. And it's like, you're kind of making Pixar feel smaller by comparison, because that was their thing.
Right.
If there's one film company that everyone's heard of, it's the Walt Disney Company. Since its inception in 1923, the same year that the Flying Scotsman was constructed, and that engine turns 100 next year.
Blimey.
Yep, March 1923, that's when she first rolled out of the production factory. Has been breaking new ground in the American animation industry. Disney broke out into the world of feature film animation in 1937 with Snow White. Despite being groundbreaking at the time, the method of animation used for classic Disney films has become outdated. While Disney is most known for some of their classic 2D animations like Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King, Disney has not created a 2D animation since The Princess and the Frog in 2009. Which I think one of the major key songs on the soundtrack was by it's an artist called Neo.
Neo, yes. Never knew I needed. I actually really like that song.
Yeah, and kind of makes sense to add like a little bit of R&B to the soundtrack, because it really offered something a little bit different from what we've heard from Disney soundtracks down the years. While this departure from hand-drawn 2D animation seemed like the end of an era for some fans, who in fact still want Disney's next movie to be 2D, others were glad to see a total switch to 3D. Moving on to make hits like Tangled. I do like Tangled, especially in 3D. That floating torch scene, that is an acid trip.
That's another fun movie.
Moana and the ever-beloved Frozen. Disney found their stride in 3D animations, winning multiple awards with their new techniques. So why exactly did Disney stop making 2D animated movies? Many may think that it simply came down to money, but there are a number of reasons for Disney to change directions, one being simply moving with the times and staying on top of technological advancement. Here are just a few reasons why Disney stepped away from 2D. CG is cheaper and faster to produce than hand-drawn animation. That's a given. While it may seem that 3D animation costs more, considering the technology required for it, the opposite is in fact true. According to Guru, 3D animation does involve more tech, but this tech is cheaper than paying animators to draw each frame of film by hand. Disney's decision to move exclusively to 3D animation lowered labor costs by making less work for the artists. All the animation is now done digitally with the use of CG, effectively streamlining the animation process. This not only eliminates the need for more artists, but also speeds up the production of the films, reducing the amount of time needed to actually create the film. All of this works to Disney's benefit because with a lower production time, Disney has more time to crank out new content, which is an even bigger win for the audience as they can anticipate more quality content being released at a rapid pace. 2D animation became an excuse for weaker storytelling. I don't know if I'd go that far with some of the some of the 2D movies I enjoy, like The Lion King that it's focusing on at the moment, while the plots of the original animations were usually solid, they grew less and less over the years. According to Digital Spy, John Lasseter, who pioneered 3D animation at Disney, said the amount of work that was needed for the hand-drawn 2D animation somehow outweighed the content of the film. With animators throwing all their hard work into the hand-drawn 2D animation, this often led to the actual story of the film being neglected. Again, don't know what movies they were watching, because I always thought the 2D animated movies were actually decent. This was a major reason that Disney took a step away from 2D, as there was too much focus on the form of the film rather than telling a memorable story. With the use of CG 3D animation, animation makes easier so the filmmakers can focus on all aspects of the film rather than expending all their energy on the animating process. Yet another reason for Disney to switch to 3D animation. I don't know if I agree with that statement, because lousy writing can be in 2D, 3D, and live action. So on that one, I think that's a cop-out. 3D animated movies are more profitable. Again, that's a given. Disney's first 3D animation, Toy Story, actually it was Pixar's, but let's not split hairs, was exceedingly profitable upon release, especially compared to Pocahontas and A Goofy Movie. I don't know, Raiden would beg to differ with you.
Right.
Of which were released the same year. Disney experimented with 3D animation after this point alongside Pixar and found that 3D films are more profitable than old-fashioned hand-drawn 2D animation. Can you really blame Disney for seizing a good opportunity to save and make money at the same time? 3D animated films cost less to make and they make more money at the box office. Why do 3D animations draw more attention than their 2D counterparts? Some can chalk this up to the more refined look that 3D animation brings to the screen. Some say that 3D aspect makes the experience more immersive, and the list of reasons is long. While some are hopeful that Disney may return to its hand-drawn roots, this is unlikely at this point as 3D animation continues to dominate the market. Well, to be fair, you still see you still see the 20th Century Studio that makes Family Guy, that's still 2D. South Park is still done with the same animation process that it's done for years, and you know, whenever there's new versions of the Looney Tunes, that's still done with 2D animation. I feel like 2D animation has gotten more refined. I mean, look at, you know, say what we will about Masters of the Universe Revelation. The animation for that is
it's beautiful,
unspeakably amazing.
I can never deny that. Like it's something that a lot of the people want to see for their brother, but once again, the problem was just the writing of their favorite characters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'd be like, let's just say, for the sake of discussion, Disney decided after all these years they want to make a Lion King 4. Let's say for the sake of where Kiara and Kovu have their cub, and the cub is a spitting image of Mufasa, and Simba's still king at this point. It'd be interesting to see how a 2D Lion King would look today, because if they went and tried to do it 3D, but trying to match these kind of color schemes that was done, particularly with the first movie, I mean, the visuals of the first Lion King movie, it still holds up even to this day, because that is some of the best animation I have seen in a long time. I felt like with the live action remake, it was trying to be the original movie so hard it was painful, when they could have just done its own thing and just tried to do something different. And And it's like I said with Princess and the Frog, I thought that was an absolutely beautiful animated movie, and I absolutely adored the female protagonist, because she had such a wonderful personality. And I think the Broadway actress that plays her, Anika
Noni Rose.
Thank you.
Oh.
She just had such a wonderful presence in that movie, and because I think she did sing one or two numbers in the film, it's just like, I love this woman. Like, just such a great and powerful voice. And it's an interesting twist that normally it's supposed to be the princess kisses the frog and gets the prince, but the reverse happens where she becomes the frog as well. But because they get married and he was already a prince, she's a princess, and voila.
Also, she had a different motivation. She wanted to open a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's like I say, I don't understand why there was such this need to distance themselves from 2D, because 3D and CG has just been overused to the point where it's not special anymore. I mean, when you saw, say, Ants, Bug's Life, and the first two Toy Story movies, because you didn't see them that often, it made them special. But you see, 3D CG movies from Disney now, and it's just like, I mean, does anybody remember Meet the Robinsons?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, oh man, what I really like about that movie was the ending. It was just, I feel like that was one of the most wholesome endings ever in a Disney movie. Especially with the ending with the Walt Disney quote.
I just find maybe 20 years down the line, we're still going to be talking about the original Jungle Book. I mean, I enjoyed the 2016 live action reimagining because it was a reimagining, because it didn't copy the ending note for note. It actually went off into its own direction, and I applaud Disney for at least having the sense to actually take a different path down the road. But we're still going to talk about The Little Mermaid, because, it's been 32 years since that movie came out, and it still looks amazing. And also, us guys would admit it at the time, but, Ariel was probably our first waifu back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
In a way. Honestly, for me, it was always Jasmine from Aladdin for me.
Yeah. Again, when you're like 10, when you're like 10 or 11, you're like, I know I've used this joke before. I'd be like, son, yeah, why are you watching the pretty lady? Because she's a pretty lady. Okay.
And speaking of Ariel, apparently the voice actress is coming to Manchester Comic Con this summer.
Nice.
Oh, neat.
She was also the daughter of Aquaman in Batman Beyond when they did the Justice League episode.
Ah, neat.
Yeah.
That's a little Easter egg there.
Yeah, the call, I believe, yeah.
She was a very quiet and very withdrawn character, but anytime she spoke, you're like, oh, you're adorable. Little thing with regards to Aladdin, and I cannot believe Disney actually confirmed this canon. If you look on Wiki, so again, this is supposed to be confirmed from Disney, so take this with a pinch of salt. In the movie, Aladdin and Jasmine are supposed to be 18 and 15 respectively.
Oh no!
To quote Jontron, I have several questions.
Yeah, that's almost scarier than confirming the ages of all the Sailor Scouts.
Oh no! Oh no! To me, that's another John clip where it's like bad touch, stranger danger.
I remember that.
Although there's some 2D animation that's still continuing to this day, Japanese anime.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course.
And from what I've been hearing, take this with a grain of sand. There is supposed to be another Slayers anime series in the works. I don't know how definitive that story is, but I have, kept my ear somewhat close to it because I always felt like there were more stories to tell of Lena Inverse and company, and because Slayers Revolution and Evolution R were the first Slayers series in 10 years back in 2008, I suppose it feels kind of apropos in a sense to bring it back once again. Whether the likes of Lisa Ortiz, Crispin, the Man Freeman will come back. Also, I'm actually glad he is getting so much more mainstream work now, from being Max Dillon in Spectacular Spider-Man to being Red Arrow in Young Justice, because mainstream audiences are only getting a tip of the iceberg of what he's capable of as a voice actor, because he was also Alucard in Van Helsing, and he was also Keone in The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. He's just such a very talented voice artist, and I was hoping when they were looking for casting for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I just thought, please cast Crispin because he will own this role of Knuckles. And then I hear Idris Elba and I'm like, maybe in the future. Because I'm liking what Idris is doing with Knuckles, and it's kind of going back to how Knuckles was in the beginning. He's all about honor, dignity, and nobility rather than dumbass incorporated courtesy of Sonic Boom. It's like, which one is my left hand? And I'm like, are you serious? Because that is actually cinematic cut footage from the game where he's trying to figure out which hand is his left.
Yeah, like I said before, man, Idris Elba's version of Knuckles was just basically, in a sense, he's kind of a big kid, trying to be an adult, but he's pretty, but he still tries to do right even with the wrong people.
I don't like his idea of toppings on ice cream. No one should ever put grapes in ice cream.
Yeesh.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm all for healthy eating.
He's still learning.
Grapes and ice cream are two things that don't mix. I mean, that'd be like only putting vodka in chocolate pie, because let's be like, no, give me that. I want vodka chocolate pie. Not in this house, you don't, mister.
Nuh-uh. No.
I mean, think of one that Liz would object to. That would be like, that'd be like mixing caviar with tacos. It's like, no.
No.
Then again, as we saw from, Mr. Beast's, $70,000 pizza, where they're having squid ink caviar fish tacos.
No, I don't mind fish tacos, but no.
And you know something's bad when Kaiju objects to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, no mas.
Also, Jimmy, bro, love you, love what you do, you're an inspiration, but you put way too many commercials on that particular video. Just saying. If it was like 2 commercials for, say, a 30-minute video, you think, okay, fair enough. But there was like, what? A commercial like every 7 minutes. I appreciate, he's making money and he's donating to great causes. Not a problem with that. But timing and tact would be appreciated. Again, with this article, I get that 3D movies are more popular because we live in the video game age where the CG and graphics between movie cut footage and video game cut and video game footage, the lines have blurred so much that it appeals to this particular generation, whereas our respective generations, we grew up in a time where traditional animation was still going, and it is still alive, but it's almost seen as like a speciality niche thing. I mean, if you look at the animation style of Castlevania, for example, those visuals are gorgeous.
Amazing.
Because the animation studio for that, and the animation studio is actually based in Texas, which that took me by surprise. And seeing what they did for He-Man, I was just like, wow. Which you could imagine there's likely to be some form of continuation, because at the end of season 2 of Revelation, there's kind of this implied hint that Hordak is somehow going to show up.
Okay, cool.
I was always intrigued with the way Hordak was represented in the 2002 reboot, where he was a maniacal figure to begin with, but then he becomes like this dark demon figure, which is such a radical departure from how he was depicted in the original She-Ra series as this cyber figure that could transform his body into other shapes, vehicles, or weapons at whatever he found convenient. So the idea that he could essentially become this demonic figure that empowers Skeletor after he was dying as Keldor because his face was melting, literally and figuratively.
Definitely like that origin.
It was a different take, because with the 80s series there was no origin. It was just like, here's He-Man, here's Skeletor, go. And sometimes that's helpful. Sometimes it's nice just to be like, go straight into the story, but there are some times where people have questions, and therefore answers should be provided. I feel like with some origin stories, I think it's best when it's kept brief but on point. Like how they showed Knuckles' origin in Sonic 2, and to a subtle degree with Sonic's origin in the first movie. It's like, it's there, it's done, move on. You've had the setup, but I'm not one for long origin stories, but I felt like with the way Adam's origin was done, with the 3-parter at the beginning, I felt, yeah. With that one, I will make the exception, because in the 80s series, Adam being the arrogant playboy prince, it's an act. In the 2002, no! He's not acting! He really is an ass! To start with, it's only as He-Man he starts growing up a little bit, and I think Cam Clark played that role down to perfection, considering he'd been, seen as Leonardo for so many years. But to be fair, in terms of animation, there's not too many that has done the role of Leo justice more than him. Even though Johnny Knoxville did okay with the first Michael Bay movie, he did that's the bit that still gets me, but I don't know. Money-wise, I get why Disney stopped it with the 2D movies, but I'd like to see them come back, because I feel like you can get something more rewarding, particularly when you see like visuals of how Cinderella was transformed into her ball gown courtesy of her fairy godmother, or just like how they would do scenes with the Little Mermaid, particularly when Trident would use his trident and what have you. There's certain scenes you can't really replicate with CG. 2D really has something more. Another example with regards to amazing visuals, you only need to look at the first Land Before Time movie. I mean, that movie is done in '88, and it still looks amazing to this day. But it also helps that Don Bluth was a former Disney animator himself. I mean, that's when you look at things like An American Tail and Five All Goes West. Those look amazing even to this day. And
don't forget about
Yes.
Voice acting wise, that movie's a little hit and miss, but animation wise, still brilliant. So I'm 50-50 with this. I get why 3D is used more often, but there's something more expressive. Particularly the picture of Tiana here, just about to kiss the frog. There's certain things you can do with 2D animation, facial expression wise, you can't really do with 3D. I mean, when you're doing like CG stuff, like with Alita Battle Angel, if you try to do what they did that movie with 2D animation over the actress's face, it'd be a little bit jarring, because the only movie we let get away with that is Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Space Jam, because they did the lighting and shading to where it works. But here, and particularly the CG that they use for Battle Angel, it is a little bit uncanny valley, but they did it in a way whereby it's plausible enough to imagine an anime character interacting with, a real-world environment. But, I'm always going to have a soft spot for 2D animation, which is why I would probably always prefer Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and Saturday AM over the Sonic Boom TV series. There are some episodes of Boom I like, and there are others where I'm like, guys, you're really trying too hard. Particularly the Misery episode where apparently Chris Chan goes and says, "Oh, I don't act anything like that," and the rest of the internet said, "Bullshit, you do."
God, don't get me started on that guy.
No. But he basically, he felt like he was being purposely targeted with the way he acts, and said, "Oh, I don't act like this at all." And it's like, yeah, the internet begs to differ. But yeah, like I say, I'm kind of 50-50 on this. Lids, do you agree with the argument, or like me, do you kind of feel like you're down the middle with it?
Down the middle. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind if they at least tried more 2D animation, but seems like 3D animation's their niche, so it's like if you could find a balance, I'd be okay with that. But again, I'm of two minds of it, so I would like to see more 2D animation myself personally, especially I grew up with the 2D animation as a kid, and 2D animation is not that bad when it's done right. If it's done incorrectly, no. Just no. But then again, 3D animation has been guilty of the same problem, but you have to have the right animators in order to pull off either of those options. Otherwise, you're going to get things like animated Titanic movies or food fight.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, dear God.
So,
It's party time! It's party time! It's party time!
Yeah, dog, why?
Don't go there. Please don't go there.
Poor Corey when that would kept going, hold me, never. At the end, he's just like, just about to tear his hair out.
It's like, ah! But yeah, I honestly, it could go either way. So it's like, it's best not to rock the boat. Otherwise, you'll end up with dog shit. So, but I see people asking for it. It's like, good for you. Just like, again, don't rock the boat. Otherwise, we'll get pushed to more SJW crap. So, yeah. Yeah, again, I'm of two minds of it, so.
So Stephen?
Thing is, I can see why Disney went for the whole 3D route, but I always go by the moniker, don't forget where you came from. I mean, yeah, they still do animated projects for TV and stuff in 2D, but it'd be nice to see them try and do traditional 2D animated feature once in a while. So, did we get a follow?
Yes, we did. Oh, for some reason there's only like an emoji chat. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I believe that was because due to something that happened on Oni's Twitch page, and a bunch of spammers kept coming in and putting on specific things. So I asked Kit if it would be okay to do the same thing for you, basically, just to be on the safe side.
All right, how long is that meant to be for? Because, like I say, Dan's.
Oh, sorry.
Let's take the. Yeah, disable emote only for the time being. But if we see something pop up, then we'll yeah.
So, should have warned you about that before, but it slipped my mind.
Don't worry, dude. Don't worry. Was that all?
Yeah, that's all I had to say. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Sean.
Hey.
Yeah, you're coming through.
Okay.
Raiden, your thoughts?
I definitely agree across the board. I'm 50-50. I mean, there are some times 2D animation and 3D can't work together hand in hand. I mean, need to remind everyone. I mean, I don't think I need to remind, but of course, Spider-Man is the Spider-Verse on how how fluid they combine. Not only just comic book references, no, like comic book, style, comic book style, like, you get something, you see a thought bubble or whatever, and then I don't know. It can be done to have 3D and hand drawn to coexist. I just feel like some mainstream companies don't do it as much. I think with Disney, I have heard on Twitter that they are doing a little program about that. So, listen, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Yeah, just keep, as long as you don't over rely on 3D. I understand why they did that because I think hands-on took way too long in their own way. But I don't know. For me as a kid, especially when watching a lot of Disney movies on VHS. Yeah, I know I'm old. Shut up. All right. Anyway, yeah. Just like I remember seeing just storyboards of how they made Aladdin, and I don't know. I just miss that side of hand-drawn because they show everything before they put it on film, and I don't know. I just want to see more creativity behind a lot of that. So, like I said, I think 3D and hand-drawn can be good hand in hand, but don't over rely on 3D because I think now people are getting annoyed by it sometimes.
All right, we're gonna depart animation for a moment. Roman Reigns reaches 600 days as Universal Champion.
No.
Reigns captured the Universal title on August 30, 2020 at WWE Payback, defeating Braun Strowman and then champion Bray Wyatt. Since then, Reigns has retained against a long list of superstars including Cena, Lesnar, Rollins, Edge, Cesaro, Owens, Bryan Danielson, and Jey Uso. Reigns unified the Universal Championship with the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 38. Well, he's not only outdone Lesnar's run as Universal Champion, because Lesnar had it for a long ass time when he beat Goldberg for it at WrestleMania 33 5 years ago. I think Oni described their match as something like a boxing match or like a car wreck on I-95. How and why I remember those words specifically, don't even ask, because not even I know. But Lesnar held that until SummerSlam 2018. And then Reigns dropped the belt probably 3 weeks after that because, unfortunately, his leukemia had become active again. So, after all that, he had to relinquish it. And then at Crown Jewel, the title was put up for grabs between Strowman and Lesnar, and surprise, surprise, Lesnar won. But does make me wonder, whoever Reigns loses the belt to, it's got to be to somebody. I picture this as like a 2022 situation equivalent of JBL and John Cena. JBL had the title for 10 months after he defeated Eddie Guerrero at the 2004 Great American Bash in a Texas bull rope match, which is basically another word for a strap match. And then Cena, who was an up-and-comer at the time at WrestleMania 21, beats JBL for the belt. So there has to be somebody on Raw or SmackDown that's got that potential and is a rising popular star. There's got to be somebody that'll step up and say, I'm your next challenger, and unlike everyone else, I won't lay down for you. So there's definitely a John Cena somewhere in there to Roman Reigns' JBL, and that's a weird image now of Reigns wearing JBL's suit with the gallon hat and the limousine. Titantron customizers out there, there's your challenge. Roman Reigns coming out to JBL's music. Um,
Don't give people ideas.
No way.
sometimes all you need to do is say something as random as this. Shawn Michaels hot dog pizza stand, and people are like, okay, here we go, memes, or here's what never happened. Stephanie McMahon as a divine and lovely, serene mother figure. Everyone's like, okay, we're into memes, not science fiction.
Or whether somebody tells only to gather the Dragon Ball.
Or
There are no Dragon Balls in this universe.
Or imagine like this. We imagine a world where Oni is calm and sane after watching a night of AEW Dynamite, and Liz will turn and go, okay, there is no such universe where that happens. Just like there'd be no such universe where Raiden looks and just go, boy, don't make me slander you.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know who is the next breakout star to take the belt from Roman, because Vince seems to be hell-bent on making him the guy for as long as possible, and no one can seem to remember the last time Roman Reigns actually wrestled on SmackDown, because I can't recall. Actually, one of the few times I do remember was 2 weeks after WrestleMania 37, and it was like that, supposed to be that, blast from the past SmackDown using, the lower thirds and the old SmackDown logo, but they didn't bring back the Ovaltron, which is fail.
What the
And it was Reigns versus Bryan, and if Bryan lost, he was out of the WWE when, his contract was expiring the day after, so...
Meh.
Yeah. So... I don't know. Because I don't really see anybody on the roster that they're really doing anything with. I mean, the one person that they could have tried to elevate to the next level after his King of the Ring win was Xavier Woods, but they've done nothing with him in the last year or so. I felt like they really could have done something with him, but as ever, no, we'll just do rinse and repeat. We'll just have people job to Roman. It's just ugh, no wonder you guys are barely getting just above 2 million in the ratings. Whereas you go back to the Attitude Era, good days, they'd have 5 million. Whereas now they're just struggling just to get past 2 million. I don't know. So, on this one, I don't know. Raiden, your thoughts on the fact that the Tribal Chief has been champion for 600 days, and who do you see as the next big guy to actually take the belt off him?
Here's the deal. You're absolutely right. There's just absolutely no one who can actually beat the guy. I mean, okay, Cody returning, maybe, and that's a big maybe. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's it's funny because I remember listening to a podcast while I was at work. Listen. People will still have problems with AEW, but you can't deny the fact that their demographic, especially during their worst times, has grown since their inception. Yep. And I feel like the only one that still hasn't gotten that point is the Fed itself. And yes, as a character has improved. And how many times are you gonna have to hear acknowledge me this, acknowledge me that, and have him have really good matches, but all in all, it doesn't amount to anything. Because here's the brass tacks, ladies and gentlemen. Despite great defenses Roman has, he hasn't elevated anyone, and I mean anyone, ever since winning the belt. okay, you can say Jay Uso, but he's basically a stooge at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Same about his brother. So I don't know how long can you keep watch. Oh, okay. I think I've used the keep watching thing way too many times. But anyway, how many times are you gonna keep continuing to see who's gonna be? Because you're just gonna keep hitting your head multiple times by just being invested, and then in the end you get slapped in the face. So I don't know. I don't think anyone at this point, until when The Rock returns next year, so they can fight at WrestleMania. But after that, and honestly, I don't think you can trust the Fed for doing such things, because they're just really stuck in that purgatory of just having one champion that they want and not what the people want. So that's just the brass tacks of it all. So at this point, I don't know.
Madam President?
I feel like Reigns' title reign is honestly just basically the definition of a snake eating its own tail. Or it's like, we've gone back to the same damn place that we were before. Just instead of Brock Lesnar, who would take the belt and leave, it's now Roman holding on to the belt and not fucking letting go. And quite fucking frankly, I'm getting a little sick of it. For me personally, this reminds me of something in wrestling, but it wasn't to a champion of sorts. It's to an authority figure, because this feels exactly like Stephanie McMahon's reign of terror as an authority figure, because she never got her fucking comeuppance, and I feel Roman has never gotten any of her comeuppance. It's been there, but he's always gone back to not looking like he doesn't smell like shit. And again, I'm in agreement here. It's like, I'm getting a little sick and tired of it. At least AEW got the belt off Kenny Omega when they did.
Who's the champion now?
Adam Page, Hangman Adam Page.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but just now they're putting another belt on it. They're talking about unifying it, which again I'm of two minds about. And then talking about, oh, we're gonna unify the tag belt. Like, can we stop? Can we fucking stop, please? Like, if you guys just want to do it with the brand spray, just do it. Don't freaking make us sit through this like flaming hot dog shit. I'm sorry, but again, there's actually something that Oni and I had discussion about of how to get the belt off Roman, because quite frankly, we all saw what happened to poor Shinsuke Nakamura. You could have built that up, but you know what you did? You had Roman kick him in the dick. Way to take the freaking air out of his freaking sails. Why? The idea he had is having every single person that went after the belt and just like freaking beat the shit out of Roman, and then basically give. That's how we would win Money in the Bank. Somebody wins Money in the Bank. I don't know who, and then all the people that freaking Roman beat the shit out of him. Then the person who wins Money in the Bank cashes in. That's it. Just end that and then have Roman go away for a while. But no, they're going to do that because they want to milk that fucking cow dry. And we're just getting powdered milk at this point, and the audience is going other directions. Know your audience. Read the room, guys. Stop. I get having Roman having a long title reign, but at least people have legitimate threats involved and have these different people going after them. You'll keep having friggin' basically Roman be a Mary Sue character where he's like super OP and hardly loses. That's not how that works. No. If you want an adversary, have an adversary. If not, you're just there. It seems rather pointless if you ask me.
Yeah. From WWE to the Batman.
Ooh.
Matt Reeves confirms detail everyone missed in the Batman. The detail concerns a mise-en scene detail from a sequence featuring Gotham's Iceberg Lounge run by Penguin. Director Matt Reeves confirmed a small but interesting detail from one of the sequences in The Batman. The scene features the outskirts of Gotham's Iceberg Lounge, where anyone who looks closely can see Paul Dano's Riddler in plain sight. Interesting. The scene is part of the film's mise-en-scene, which adds a detail to a major sequence later in the film. The Batman furthermore thorough and accounts for Reeves' methodical direction. The scene pointed out by AJ Rascals was shared by Ryan Unicum on his Twitter, see below, and came on scene at 31:55 during the film's run. It features the outskirts of the City Club, Iceberg Lounge, a Penguin-owned facility. On the left of the scene's frame is an apartment building where a person is lurking through his window scanning the outer area. The tweet figured that the said person is none other than Paul Dano's Riddler. Ryan also asked Matt Reeves for his response on his theory, which the director confirmed to be 100% true. Confirming the detail, Reeves added detail to his vision for the DC's comic story while also proving that he indeed had tried to surpass previous Batman films in terms of setting, tone and direction and production design. The scene featured right at almost the beginning of the film also brings a later sequence full circle, explaining that the sun shock it brought to the audience. In the later part of the film, Batman and Gordon, with the help of Selina, discovers that the informer running Gotham PD and administration on his fingers is none other than Carmine Falcone, and revels that Falcone has for years used Thomas Wayne's trust fund for the city's renewal to launder money after his death and bought off almost everyone in the administration. When Falcone is arrested, Riddler shoots from a nearby apartment window, only to later surrender, considering his work complete. From the new detail, it's clear that Riddler has also been keeping tabs on people going in and out of the lounge. Earlier, Batman also discovers several pictures of officials from the court, the mayor's office, and the police department frequenting the lounge, all of which were taken by Riddler. The detail also brings full circle those moments where Riddler had spied on them. The apartment apparently gave Riddler full access to the main entrance of the lounge, giving him a chance to take snaps of several corrupt officials, some of whom he murders in the film. It has been a practice for directors like Reeves to leave such minute details to make their films wholesome and leave no gaps or loopholes for the audience to point out. There are several more Easter eggs in the Batman that have been discovered, while more under a hunt. With the film now available for streaming on HBO Max, the hunt will gain momentum. The Batman debuted at HBO Max on April 18th after a successful $700 million run collection at the worldwide box office, and can now be viewed directly by all subscribers. It will be released on Blu-ray with additional special features and deleted scenes next month. Interesting. I did not know that was Riddler right at the beginning, near the beginning of the movie. So when I go to, I might go and look at that detail when it comes out on Blu-ray, or if I happen to go purchase it on HBO Max, because I've got time off coming up soon. So that's interesting. Raiden, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I remember seeing this on Twitter. I was like, oh shit. So saw the movie again on HBO Max, and I saw the details. Like, oh wow, there, okay, really cool. I mean, you already know I'll never stop talking how much I love this movie. I mean, it's basically the quintessential Batman movie for me. I mean, you finally get the detective aspect that's been missing in Batman media in live action for years. You know, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just love anything mystery related. Like, why would you do this? What's your motivation? Like, what are the clues? Blah blah blah. All that jazz. I think people were pretty bored about that because they always want to expect like the bing bang boom of like any Batman film media, and I get that, but I feel like for me and a lot of lifelong Batman fans, he's more than that. he is, yes, he's a crime fighter, but he is possibly one of the best detectives known to man. The fact that we see that in this iteration, it makes you want more. I don't know. It's just so fun. It's just very refreshing to see. And what I literally like is that you just see a lot of Batman, not Bruce Wayne, in a good way, because he's trying to protect his family's legacy, but he's just so closet to the world that's just he just sees him as Batman, not himself. And it's funny because I'm a Riddler in the prison scene, like you wear a mask, I wear a mask to hide myself, but I'm basically the real thing. I don't know, man. Like I would keep saying it. It's basically the best quintessential Batman film to me, and the fact that someone called out that, and director said, "Oh my God, you're right." Like, I don't know. I like interactive stuff like that, and I just want to see more of what Reeves can do with the character, because it felt more grounded. It felt more real than what we've seen in past iterations. So good on that person for calling that out. And yeah, like I said, I can't talk. I love this movie. Simple as that. I really do. I would see more in the future.
Lids?
Again, I can't really have much of an opinion considering haven't seen this movie yet, but the fact that they're actually going with the aspect of like Batman being a detective, where it's like, yeah, that's exactly who he is. He's a detective first, and then crime fighter second, because he's trying to not just stop crime, he's trying to find out. He likes a good mystery. He likes finding out what's going on, what makes a person tick. And sometimes he succeeds, most of the time he fails.
Especially that one episode in the animated series where he blamed himself for Jim Gordon being gunned down.
Yeah, I remember that.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then I think there's another good example. If anybody's watched the Long Halloween animated adaptation, where he's trying to figure out who Holiday is, and then once you get to the end, because again, Oni had seen this movie, I had never seen it, so I'm like trying to guess, is Harvey Dent Holiday? No. It's like, who's this? And it's like finding out the twist at the end. It's like, oh, okay. And the fact that Batman didn't take this person in because they'd suffered enough.
Yeah.
And just having that he figured out what happened and why this happened. I think that's where he, like, after he solved it, he was done with it. And taking this person in wouldn't have made much of a difference anyway. So again, it's like Batman is about finding out things. It's about finding out mysteries.
Yeah.
But he's also stopping crime at the same time until, like, he understands that the system is broken. So he's like, I'm going to figure out what this is, and if it doesn't work or it doesn't feel right, I'm just going to let it go. Which is understandable. So the fact that they're going with this route with this version of Batman, I'm like, okay, good. And it's like, it's not just punch. Like, don't get me wrong, the punching aspect's fun, but it's like, have it be just as cerebral as it is physical. So
Well, as soon as you say cerebral, I'm just imagining Triple H wearing the bat
no.
Dear Lord.
That's one thing we don't need.
Well, I say cerebral
the
because all those, I think it was probably 21 years ago. No, it might have been 22 years ago. I can't remember what pay-per-view it was, but JR referred to Triple H as the cerebral assassin. And building up to the confrontation between him and Austin at No Way Out 2001, he said, you call me the Cerebral Assassin, which is a hell of a nickname, and it's a good fit because Triple H and Batman are similar in one respect. They beat you with their mind first, and if fisticuffs are required, probably more so with Triple H because, well, that's what he did for a living. With Bats, his mind is probably just as strong as his body, if not more so. And I remember in a conversation between Random and the late Helsing 920, Batman has one of the most analytical minds in fiction. He has backup plans to backup plans to backup plans. If Plan B doesn't work, if necessary, he'll try Plan O, or even Plan T, or even, if necessary, Plan Z, because he has contingencies for everything, including the setup for Justice League Doom.
Yep.
Yes.
But in his defense, those were contingencies to neutralize members of the Justice League if they ever went rogue, not to kill. And he even, had a contingency plan if he ever decided to go rogue, which, from the perspective of other characters, it's like, you're not acting, under an authority, because are you going to walk up to Bats and tell him how he should carry about his business? It's like, no thanks, I'd actually like to walk out with both my knees not decapitated. Because Bats is one of those, if you get the glare, it's like, okay, I'm going to walk away, you're creeping me out. Because, particularly in Justice League, if you got given the glare from him, you shut the fuck up straight away. Even to the fact that he creeped Superman out.
Oh my god.
It's the episode where he had to be put in the recovery room, and Soups is saying like, hey, you need to take it easy, we'll deal with the rest. He gives him a glare and Soups is like, ugh.
Oh god. No, I think the one scene from Justice League, I think it was Unlimited or it was the regular one where he whispers something into Deadshot's ear. We can't hear it, but it immediately makes Deadshot run away. And I don't know who asked
Wonder Woman?
No, I think it was Flash who asked Superman, because Superman heard what he said and it's like, what'd he say? And it's like Superman's like, you don't want to know.
I think that was Justice League because I think that was
right. I think it was Justice League.
Yeah.
Deadshot
was hired to kill Aquaman.
Yeah, that's right.
What did he say? You don't want to know. Because if you could creep Superman out, who's, depending on what iteration that you view or watch, he's very much easygoing, laid back, relaxed, dry wit sort of sense of humor, doesn't let too much get to him. The fact that Batman can creep him out just by whispering something to an antagonist, like, you've reached a new level of disturbed. Batman, how are you so disturbed and so mentally unstable? I used to star in the Twilight series. Okay, you have issues, you need help. How do you deal with your problems? I have a butler. Which most people know as a nod to Justice League Dark, which I've never seen that movie, but there are bits and pieces where it's like, this looks good.
Also, I think if you check it out, especially for Matt Ryan's Constantine. He's possibly the best iteration of Constantine ever. I think me and Liz could attest, especially when he had the show, then it got canceled, then he got transferred to Arrow, and I don't know. He's just a fitting image of what Constantine is in the comics.
Dan's just asked, could Dave Batista be Bane in the Batman universe? No, he would enjoy that way too much.
Yeah.
And also, it's just this...
Do it since I did hear I think after Thor: Love and Thunder and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I think he's done playing Drax.
Here's the thing. Batista is more than convincing visually with his physique to be Bane, but could you imagine Batista trying to convincingly put on the same Hispanic accent that the voice actor had from the animated series? Be honest with me.
I think so, but honestly, I think with a different iteration would be good. I mean, listen, people gonna talk shit about Tom Hardy's Bane, but I don't know, that voice was awesome. You say you were part of darkness. I say you adopted it. I was lived in darkness. That voice is great.
I remember, I think the reaction and review to The Dark Knight Rises is either somewhere on my channel, reaction and review, or it's on my brother's channel. The moment where Bat meets Bane for the first time and you hear the line, "Patience has cost you your strength. Victory has defeated you." The look on his face is like, what the fuck am I watching? But I think the moment I like the most from that is where it's Batman's first appearance in the movie, and that rookie cop shoots him from behind, and Ryder just gives us it's like, are you serious? Are you dead? Are you insert word I can't say on Twitch? It's like, dude. You see how irritating it is. The only thing I agree with him with regards to that movie, it's too long. It's 2 hours 45 minutes. I think if you shave 20 minutes out of that movie, I don't think you'd lose anything.
I mean, the Batman itself is 3 hours long, but I think what the advantage that movie has over Dark Knight Rises, like, I think the 3 hours you watch, you get every detail of like every clue. You know what I mean? So like, you know, it's, I don't know. This is different, just different strokes for different folks. You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of the details, Steve?
Yeah, something that I may have to relook at when I watch the movie again.
All right. Okay. Yeah. For some strange reason, the playlist is still playing commercials. That's better. I'm going to expect one of the following responses from what I'm about to post. Either duh or no shit.
Not
No.
surprise.
I'm shocked. Well, not that shocked.
The Mummy Reboot director labels the film as biggest failure of his life.
His life. Jesus.
Calling it an understatement is in itself an understatement.
Universal's Dark Universe was brought crashing down when The Mummy flopped in 2017, and director Alex Kurtzman hasn't forgotten it. Sadly, neither have we.
We all like to forget.
I never saw it, so
I've been forgotten for years.
5 years ago, Universe seemed to launch their Dark Universe and revive some of the most iconic movie monsters of all time in an interconnected world that would have seen the likes of Dr. Jekyll crossing paths with Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and in the first movie, The Mummy, led by Tom Cruise. The Mummy arrived in 2017 and in one swoop managed to derail the entire project as a commercial and critical failure. While Universal still managed to bring their old monsters back to life in standalone movies with modern twists, the memory of the failed Dark Universe is still something that is remembered by The Mummy's writer-director Alex Kurtzman, who's nothing without his writing partner Robert Orci. Change my mind.
I mean...
While The Mummy had previously experienced a string of success from the iconic 1932 Boris Karloff movie to the 1999 reboot starring Brendan Fraser, which still looks amazing to this day, but
Not favorite.
we don't talk about Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, though. No.
Meh.
But something with the Tom Cruise adventure was so off the mark that was never likely to be anything but a flop. While the movie put down some groundwork for many other movies thanks to a secret society led by Henry Jekyll, played by Russell Crowe, who's actually younger than Tom Cruise, yet Tom Cruise is supposed to be portrayed as a younger man in the story. It's like, I'm young, damn it, I'm young!
No, when Russell Crowe's character calls him young man, I'm like, you almost the same age, what the fuck?
It was to be the only time that would be seen on the big screen. Speaking to the playlist, Kurtzman admitted that The Mummy is his biggest failure. I tend to subscribe to the point of view that you learn nothing from your successes. I'm 50-50 with that. And you learn everything from your failures. I agree with that point. And that was probably the biggest failure of my life, both personally and professionally. There are about a million things I regret about it, but it also gave me so many gifts that are inexpressibly beautiful. I didn't become a director until I made that movie, and it wasn't because it was well directed, it's because it wasn't. Well, this is what happens when you let Tom Cruise manipulate the direction of the movie. Look, if you look at history and you look at people who've made amazing things, every single one of them will tell you that the same story, which is that it came after a failure. So I look back on it now with gratitude, and it took me a while to get there, but my life is better for it. While the Dark Universe has been abandoned by Universal, and probably with good reason, the library of classic movie monsters will still see the light of day, just in new and very different ways to those originally planned. In 2020, The Invisible Man turned the H.G. Wells story into a tale of domestic horror, abandoning all the generic, stereotypical elements that the story used, delivers, and instead producing something new, fresh, and above all else, something that turned out to be a hit. Whilst it did not lead to any thought of reattempting the Dark Universe project, it did instigate a number of solo outings for other gothic horror characters. Universal are now working on a new iteration of The Wolfman, starring Ryan Gosling. Oh yeah, because we talked about this before.
Oh yeah. I think I remember that too.
Yeah. The horror comedy Renfield, which has recently wrapped filming and features Nicolas Cage as Dracula. Oh, good lord, the memes that are going to pop up because of this.
Yes.
A James Wan produced Van Helsing movie, okay, and a possible Bride of Frankenstein project that may or may not involve Angelina Jolie. Oh, she is going to enjoy this way too much. All in all, there are around a dozen new movies being considered in various stages of development, all based on the monsters of the 30s and 40s, proving that no matter how much of a failure The Mummy was, you can't keep a good monster down.
Yeah.
If Nick Cage as Dracula, if the massive weight of immeasurable talent is anything to go by, oh good lord, the fact it's a comedy, it's like he's going to out-ham Leslie Nielsen from Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Oh no. Yeah.
Oh my.
God, he might ham it up more. He might ham it up more crazy than in Ghost Rider and Face Off.
I'm imagining, not the sun, not the sun.
Oh lord.
Imagine like
Say what you will about that film, but that made him more of a legend than he is today.
I'm imagining like him, doing an over-the-top voice, but with a Romanian accent. It's just like, oh.
Oh God, yes.
You don't say.
You don't say. Not the garlic. Not the garlic.
So basically, like Adam Sandler. So basically, like Adam Sandler, the Hotel Transylvania series.
Oh God.
I don't say blah blah blah.
So basically, an Adam Sandler movie that's actually good in today's modern cinema.
Yeah, I mean, it's done by the guy that gave us Dexter's Laboratories, Samurai Jack, and Symbionic Titan. So, and Primal. So, you gotta admit it's pretty hilarious.
Fair enough. I'm not gonna poo-poo on that.
But still, oh dear. Onto the subject at hand. I sat through the Mummy Reboot once.
Oh, you poor bastard.
Well, keep in mind.
I'm so sorry.
Keep in mind, that was a month where. I think that was a month where I saw that, along with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which, personally for me, that's the best movie out of that series thus far.
Mm-hmm.
And then also Transformers The Last Night within the space.
No.
You poor man.
This is where, because if you recall, I reviewed this for Real Features back then, and we also did that for the end of year panel. The biggest problems with that movie is that there was not one consistent tone that the movie could stick with. With the Stephen Sommers movie in '99, he was able to seamlessly blend humor with horror and not have one outdo the other. With this one, you couldn't tell if it was trying to be horrific, if it was trying to be comedic, if it was trying to be thriller. It could never decide what it wanted, and the fact that Sofia Botella's character was played down just so that Tom Cruise could have top billing, and it was essentially, with Prodigious, it's like, oh, it's so not S.H.I.E.L.D. It's like, let's just call it for what it is. And I give the props to the supporting cast. I liked Russell Crowe as Henry Jekyll. I felt like he had the duality down pat. But Sofia Boutella could have given so much more. But, Tom Cruise had to go be a diva. Let's just call it for what it is, because he is a diva.
It's Tom Cruise.
Don't get me wrong. I love what he did with Mission Impossible. I love what he did with the first Top Gun. Gonna be intrigued to see what he does with Top Gun 2, because it's been nearly 40 years. And I don't know what it is about that guy, but he just doesn't age. But The Mummy, it's, a movie's bad if I say, I'm not even going to put this on pre-order. And if I like a movie, the first thing I do as soon as I come is like, right, pre-order, done. But with Mummy 2017, no. Just no. And it's like I say, Alec Kurtzman is one of those guys, he needs Robert Orsi to help him balance it out, because the first Transformers movie and the first Star Trek, perfect. Because the first Star Trek reboot was shown whereby you could have it where it pleases both sides. It pleases the faithful Trekkers, not Trekkies, and then you can please the casual fan. But let's think of it like this in some ways. Let's say Oni decides to do another wrestling retrospective. Oni may bring some interesting stuff to it, but he needs a random DCE to kind of refine it, put some little bits of humor in there where people think, oh, that's kind of funny, but at the same time they're learning something with it as well. It's just how you present the information. And Kurtzman, like I say, I get it. With your first movie as a director, is sometimes you're either going to do well or you're not. On this one, he did not do well hard. I'm glad he's humble about it, so I'll give him props for that. And, you know, I think it's like a conversation we had with regards to the James Bond movie series. You know, some things can just be a standalone movie. Not everything has to be interconnected. With the MCU, it makes sense to have all these characters come together, but it doesn't mean that every single other movie franchise has to have overlapping cinematic stories to go with. You know, just because it works for one, doesn't mean it will work for another. I mean, let's say, for the sake of discussion, Raiden is part of a project to reignite Fist of the North Star.
Right.
But then the studio comes along and says, oh, we need you to have this crossover with One Piece. It'd be like, what?
Why?
It's like, the two don't go together. That'd be like Sailor Moon crossing over with Van Helsing.
Yeah, no.
It don't work.
We don't do this. We don't do this.
If it was Sailor Moon, say, crossing over with Slayers to where there's similar aspects that you could work off of, then maybe. But it has to be something that works with one another. I mean, that'd be like, since we just talked about Star Trek, imagine like the possibility of of a main Star Trek continuity having a crossover movie with Star Wars.
Oh,
Imagine
wow.
all the infighting that's going to cause with fans. You know,
Oh, God.
imagine, let's say for the sake of discussion, they resurrect Harrison Ford's Han Solo, and he has to get along with Chris Pine's James T. Kirk.
No.
It won't work. It's like, you know, the cast of Fast and Furious say, oh, we need a crossover with Jurassic World. I'm like, yours defies the laws of logic more so than Jurassic World, because say what we will about the current trilogy, at least there's some level of plausibility with what they're trying to do with that series now. I mean, me speaking as a biased fan, I'd love to see a Knight Rider Jurassic Park crossover, but that's just me, you know, wanting to see a personal wish come true. Technically, I had one of my wishes granted Sonic with Knight Rider, because in one of the Lego games you can actually have Sonic driving kit. Granted, it's Lego form, but, you know, when you got
And it
lemons...
also featured Jurassic World in there as well.
Yeah, you know, when you get lemons, you make lemonade. So, plus there's plenty of modders on GTA Vice City where you see Sonic as Super Sonic getting into kit. Although for some strange reason, Sonic is depicted as being 6 foot tall. And I'm like, last time I checked,
Yeah.
Sonic's barely 4 feet.
Okay.
It depends. I mean, there's some where he's probably about the same size as the original Ninja Turtles, because if you remember in the 80s animated series and the original movies, they were smaller than April.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas in most recent iterations, they're either the same size as April, or in the case of the Michael Bay movies, they're taller than her. Especially the first movie. It's like, guys, roids, lose them.
Right.
Or as Lids likes to call them, the Hulk-sized turtles. So, yeah, like I say, I like that Kurtzman. Prez says, are we talking about the 2007 Transformers movie where a dog does what he does on Optimus Prime's fur? First of all, that was Ironhide.
Yup.
No, we're not talking about that specifically. Although,
No.
you know, dogs are dogs. They'll do whatever they want. If they think you're a fire hydrant, they'll do what they do. Lids, thoughts on the fact that Kurtzman's actually, at the very least, being humble about his failure and some of the projects they've got coming up? I mean, I'm intrigued by Nick Cage as Dracula and Ryan Gosling as the Wolfman.
I'm of two minds about this, because it's like, why are we trying to continue? I get it that like technically the Universal monster movies were the first cinematic universe, but again, those are classic movies, and you want to fuck it up with wreck that it doesn't need to exist. And yes, I appreciate that this director admitted that this movie was a mistake. I think we'd all like to forget that mistake, but again, a lot of us, that's ingrained in our brains, and it's not going to go away. Not how much we want it to, but I don't know. I kind of like, it's a wait and see for the other projects. It'd be weird to see Nick Cage as Dracula. I mean, it would have been cool to see him as Superman, but that's not here, not there. But I don't know if the Dark Universe or whatever they're gonna call it now at this point, where it's like, can we just watch the old movies before we start focusing on new shit? We don't need to reboot every single fucking thing. Just, I don't see the point. But Hollywood's got a Hollywood.
Yeah.
Sad but true. Steve? Oh, sorry, Les.
No, sorry. I was done. Sorry.
Steve, your thoughts?
Well, at least he's being honest about it. I mean, for me, the main cinematic universe ideas that have actually worked are the MCU, much as we love and hate that cinematic universe, and the other one for me being the Monsterverse.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not like Lid said. Not every movie needs to have a cinematic universe behind it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Sometimes it's better to have a film made on a solo outing just for the heck of it. But Hollywood's just got to keep that cash flow, I suppose. Much to everyone's chagrin.
Oh, yes. Raiden, your thoughts?
Yeah, listen, at least he's acknowledging how bad that was. If it was up to me, I would not start the Dark Universe with the Mummy. I don't know, start it with Frankenstein or something like that, or Jekyll Mr. Hyde. I don't know, start out that universe first and then you get to Mummy. And yes, it would be the same how bad that was, but at least do something different. I am interested in that Van Helsing movie. I don't know why. As the movie with Hugh Jackman was, I still enjoyed that one.
Same.
So another iteration of that. Count me in with that. And of course, Nick Cage as Dracula. Oh, sign me up with that. People can say what they want about the guy, but You have to admit the guy is dedicated, still doing roles.
Oh yeah.
It's not gonna win him an Academy Award, but as long as he's having fun, it's like that's all that matters. You still have fun. So, like, I think the last project I remember Nick Cage's was in that Five Nights at Freddy's style movie with the freaking machine animals. That was wild. So him being dragged, sign me up with that. So, but yeah, at least the guy acknowledged his mistakes, and for other Universal Monster stuff, I'm slightly interested. Just give me a trailer, and then we'll see.
Alrighty. Here's a question that's going to divide people. Jurassic Park movies, are the reboots better than the originals? Oh,
Why must we go there?
The Jurassic Park series is coming to an end soon. No, it's not. Frank Marshall is confirmed that we're getting more sequels. The reboots, no, they are not reboots. They're continuations, because if it's acknowledging the events of the previous three, they're not reboots. But how do they stack up against the originals? On June 10, 2022, the Jurassic World Trilogy will be completed and will effectively end the series started by Spielberg in '93. No, it won't. The first film, based on the book by Michael Crichton, redefined what it meant to be a big-budgeted blockbuster. The highly successful Jurassic Park changed the way movies were made and launched a colossal franchise. The first spawned 2 sequels, The Lost World Jurassic Park, highly underrated, and Jurassic Park 3. Most agree each sequel are worse than its predecessor, more the third, with the third being nothing more than a cash grab. Agreed. The franchise went extinct from 2001 to 2015, when at least the park reopened. Actually, wouldn't it be the park actually opened for the first time, because it never opened in the first movie? Jurassic World carried the legacy torch from the original film without actually being a legacy sequel. The second film, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, flew closer to legacy sequel territory with the brief inclusion of Jeff Goldblum, whilst the upcoming Jurassic World Dominion is full force legacy with Goldblum, Sam Neill, Laura Dern all returning in major roles. Like the original series, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom wasn't nearly as well received as the last film, so much so that the third film isn't earning as much hype as the last two. It looks like history is repeating itself, but this raises the question: which era of this series is better? It almost isn't fair to look at the films from a movie-to-movie basis. One, because the original film was a game changer, the likes new films have been able to replicate, and two, the original series has 3 films as of writing. The rebooted series only has 2. The best way to go about it is to look at each era as a whole rather than by their films. Welcome to Jurassic Park. As unfair as it may be to the continuations, I refuse to call it a reboot, the cultural impact the original series cannot be ignored. Dinosaurs as a whole received a giant boost in popularity during the original's run. As monumental as the series became, most of this was evident in spin-off merchandise, toys, clothing, and various other apparel where the success is mainly seen. Especially Jurassic Park Rampage edition on the Genesis. Whoo! Especially that last one where you're playing as Grant and they're trying to escape the T-Rex in a speedboat. That was something. The second and third movies were nowhere near as successful as financially or critically as the original Jurassic Park. These sequels did heavily fuel the merchandise, especially playing the Lost World Jurassic Park arcade game. Ooh, many coins lost in those years.
Yeah.
But the movies themselves fell on deaf ears. The second movie did seem to naturally continue the story, albeit in a much weaker fashion. Disagree. As stated before, Jurassic Park 3 did little to nothing to further the story. Dinosaur Mania was slowly slipping away in the new millennium, and the third movie was a latch-disc effort for Universal to earn some dino dollars. I can see that coinage catching on. When looking at the original 3, the storyline more closely resembles story scoliosis, as the linear nature disappears as the series went on, while The Lost World does work as a straight sequel. It, as well as the third movie, more or less stand on their own. This weakens the overall effect of the series, as outside returning characters and the fact there are dinosaurs, the films don't really follow each other. Even the return of Sam Neill in Jurassic Park 3 seemed to only exist to real original fans back in. Again, history repeats itself. While neither sequel is terrible by any means... No comment. They come nowhere near the feel of the groundbreaking original. I still maintain, if Sam Neill wasn't in Jurassic Park 3, that movie would have been completely forgettable. While, when most fans think of how much they love Jurassic Park, they just think that. They think of Jurassic Park, not the series. Maybe it was fatigue from oversaturation to dinosaurs in the 90s, but fans drifted away from the series for years. Even today, a lot of those who were around at that time don't look fondly at the series, but rather at the first movie alone. At the end of the day, the original series as a whole doesn't hold up that well. In 2015, enough time had passed for the gates to be reopened, but did these new movies fare any better? A reboot 65 million years in the making. It is no secret that Jurassic World was bred from pure nostalgia. Fans long to hear that legendary John Williams score on the big screen once again, and see some new dino adventures for old time's sake. Jurassic World could have just referenced the original a few times, played the theme and called it a day. However, what fans got was a love letter to the film they have longed for so long. For the first time, it seemed like Jurassic Park received a true linear sequel, having the new park exist where the original is the perfect way to bridge the generations. Suddenly, the Jurassic series was a heavy hitter once again. The massive success meant an obvious sequel. Fallen Kingdom received a mixed reception, though. Well, let's see. A grinning Indoraptor, a Velociraptor receiving a blood transfusion from Rexy, and Owen Grady coming out unscathed from an ash cloud when he should have been incinerated within seconds. What do you think?
Yeah. He should be dead.
Fans can say what they want about the sequel as a film, but the fact remains it is an actual linear sequel. In order to understand what happens in Fallen Kingdom, one needs to see Jurassic World. This creates a perfect straight line between films. Not a lot is known about Dominion's plot, but it is clear that it will directly follow Fallen Kingdom. This may not be easy for lifelong fans to hear, and it certainly isn't easy to write, but the reboot series as a whole may very well be better than the originals. I don't know if I agree with that, because, as we've said so many times before, the original is still the one to beat, and I've yet to see them do that. If we were to look at the films on their own, this will be a very different outcome. Nothing can even dream about coming close to the original movie, as we just said. When looking at a series, however, the best way to fairly gauge it is by seeing the movie, seeing if the films are linear. Obviously, there can be loopholes. The Indiana Jones movie series isn't linear, but they aren't supposed to be. Same with the James Bond series of the films. We're each meant to stand on its own, which that's how they work best, before the reboot. However, if a franchise's sequels are meant to follow each other, then they need to do so in a straightforward way. The truth is, there is no correct answer as to which is better, even though you were asked the question, which is better. Those of us who grew up during the original era will prefer the Jurassic Park movies, while new fans will prefer the Jurassic World movies. I don't know. I think there are plenty of people in this day and age that actually prefer the original over the new ones. There may be even some who simply prefer the original series over the other. Getting technical, all 5 movies are part of the same continuity, but each era is vastly different. The legacy that has spawned from the original movie is still being felt today. That is what the fandom should truly appreciate. The Jurassic World series may be better from a linear standpoint, but when it's all said and done, every movie is a Jurassic Park movie, and there is plenty of fans to latch on to. I have mixed feelings about this. I do agree that the continuation trilogy sticks to a path, whilst the original 3 seem to be like standalone movies, with Lost World being a sequel to the original. I just feel like the first two movies had an irresistible charm to them because the first movie, extremely well written, and gave you dinosaurs when you earned it, whereas with The Lost World, they showed more of what you could do with the dinosaurs, even though the plot wasn't as tight as the first one, but you wanted more dinosaurs. Whereas the Jurassic World series, I don't know. I enjoy them, but it hasn't quite got the charm and the magic of the original. And I think part of the problem with that is that they're reusing ideas, more so from the first two movies. And particularly with Fallen Kingdom, there's a little bit of Jurassic Park 3 because the fact that they need Owen Grady and Claire Dearing because they've been on Isla Nublar before. So, say what we will about especially Jurassic Park 3, at least they were trying to find new ideas because, as we said, you have the first setting. They tried to do the park. They tried to get the park over. Someone got greedy, sabotages, the dinosaurs run amok, nature reclaims the island. The Lost World, they tried to bring dinosaurs to the mainland. They end up getting taken back. The third movie, it's like, okay, what can you do after the first two movies have been done? You know, you have to think of these new ideas that are going to bring people back. Jurassic World is basically a rehashed version of Jurassic Park, but it's a what if the park actually opened? Fallen Kingdom, it's basically a rehash of The Lost World. The only difference is the dinosaurs actually stay on the mainland this time. And what they do for Dominion, please, oh good lord, do not repeat Jurassic Park 3. It's been 21 years since this movie. We've been telling you for this long, don't repeat this movie. That's why the franchise went on hiatus. And it's just as well we didn't get Jurassic Park 4, otherwise there would have been the half-dinosaur human hybrid. Greetings, Mistress Lydia. What would you like me to be able to perform for you today? And you're like, get away from me!
I'd like you to perform a seppuku, please. Go away.
Because it's just this idea of a being that's as tall as a dinosaur, but it's got like amalgamation of human and dinosaur DNA as a face. It's just like, I mean,
an adult.
We tolerate it with things like the Looney Tunes in Space Jam. We tolerate it with the Ninja Turtles because I don't think it's so Uncanny Valley or something that's just going to be pure cringe, because they're able to find a way where there's a balance. You don't quite see them as people, but you don't quite see them as animals. They're just the Ninja Turtles. They're your pizza munching loving buddies who know how to kick ass, and you have a sarcastic rabbit that knows how to be savage more so than Randy Orton on a good day. Face the facts, Randy. But it's difficult. I'd say the direction of the Jurassic World story from a story-based perspective, where they keep on a straight line, I'd say they probably do that better. But again, it comes back to you cannot top the original, because they have yet to prove to me that they are able to. And, we've said this for the last 5 years on this show. The CG for the first movie still holds up. And that was experimental stuff 29 years ago, but that first movie still works. Whereas, Lost World, I still have a soft spot for it because I think it's a very underrated and underappreciated movie. I don't know. I think it's going to be one of those, there's never going to be a definitive and undisputed answer. Because it'll be like, imagine like, it's a convention hall. You've got Marvel fans on one side, DC fans on the other, and you imagine like me and Raiden just sort of sneaking in, and Liz has just got this face like going, no, no, and then put on a fake voice, DC's better. Everybody just starts, starting a food fight and what have you, and it's just, and then she gives us looks like, why'd you do that? It's like, I don't know, because it's fun.
Oh, let's be honest. He would do something like that. Then I'm like, okay, let's go. We're leaving. We're leaving right now.
That'd be like a whole convention where there's like 32 clones of Oni, Nightmare Fuel aside. And then, they're all just like, yeah, this is good, this is good. AEW Dynamite was good this week. You say what?
Oh, wait, what? Run.
I think Raiden would run out of the room like 32 Onis, like, oh, no, oh, gosh, no. So, if you have to pay 10 bits to Oni on stream, if there's 32 of it, oh, good lord, 320 bits just for one pun.
Oh, gosh, dang it.
Steve would be like, I'm not giving you guys 6,000 bits for each time you decide to give up on GTA Vice City. I think Steve would be bankrupt by that point.
I'm just waiting for him to complete the Valkyrie Queen boss on God of War when he gets around to it.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, yeah. We're not going to ever get a definitive answer to this one, so I think result-wise, I'm going to call a mulligan because I have so many mixed thoughts and opinions of this. So you guys say what you want to or call a mulligan. Your choice.
Yeah, I'm calling mulligan as well. Until we've seen Dominion, I don't think we can answer that question properly.
No.
No. I'm also pulling a mulligan. I'm sorry. Just can't.
But we all agree the first movie is still the very best.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I think if it is bad enough in Fallen Kingdom with Ripper the Indoraptor pulling that shit-eating grin like a Looney Tune. I mean, what's next? We get a bunch of Atrociraptors being backup dancers for an NSYNC reunion.
Oh, don't put those thoughts out in the universe, please.
I've just had a thought. What if there's like a moment where the protagonist ends up trapped and the Giga like Godzilla versus Kong just ends up laughing?
Oh, don't. It's almost as bad as this idea of, imagine like the Giga just starts cornering them. All of a sudden, like, couple of zoom in shots, and then you see the Giga moonwalking to Thriller.
Please no.
Well, they decided to go ridiculous with a T-Rex get, blood to a Velociraptor and a grinning Indoraptor. Logic took a back seat on that one.
Logic? What's that?
Logic is when Monday Night Raw actually has a coherent script. And they have not
that doesn't exist.
And they have not done so since 2006.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Is Master Raiden calling a mulligan as well?
Oh, yep. Listen, okay. I've said this on countless occasions. I'm not the biggest Jurassic Park guy, but I do like the first one. And a little bit of affinity with the second one. Third movie I stayed away from. The rest,
man.
Jurassic World, I thought Jurassic World was a pretty good way to come back. Fallen Kingdom, oh my god, that shit was not good. Okay, Daniela Pineda was fine as hell in that movie. I'm not gonna hold you on that.
How you doing?
But I don't know, man. I just got aside from like Camp Cretaceous, which I will get to in the future. I don't know, man. Jurassic Park to me is just non-existent.
Yeah. I mean, trying to say, you know, which series is better, it's like comparing the Back to the Future trilogy with Twilight. There's no cause like Back to the Future. As far as Twilight's concerned, I got off that train after the third movie. As soon as I heard there was a fourth, I was like, oh no, I've had enough. 3 was enough. Although some would argue...
Well, let's be honest, 1 was enough. But no, I only keep going.
I only bought the first movie on DVD out of pure curiosity. And I'll say this. Great cinematography. I like the scoring. Acting-wise, everybody was fine except Kristen Stewart. And Kristen, I have to say this. It won't kill you to smile. We've already got one emotionless robot that doesn't smile, and her name is Victoria Beckham. Also known as Skeletor, thanks to Sarah.
Yeah, He-Man.
But yeah. We've gone over time for this week. It's largely for me going on tangents, which I'm known for, and I'm trying to deal with it, folks, but... if an idea is put into my head, it's like, ooh, idea, and there's Rain going, oh god. But yeah, that'll do it for this week. Is any few comments? Dan says, the only reboot I want to see is a Green Hornet that's more true to the original than the Seth Rogen movie. I'd agree with that, even though the Seth Rogen movie was okay, it was enjoyable.
A little bit of it. It wasn't bad. I mean, I give Logan all the credit in the world for trying to be a little serious, but still be his comedic self.
He also says, and a decent reboot of The Shadow. I thought was it Alec Baldwin who played The Shadow in the 90s movie?
Think so?
For what little I saw of it, that actually looked okay. And it also says maybe The Black Cauldron. Didn't that have a remake not too long ago?
No, I think they may be working on one.
Okay. And even Sean, kind of says with regards to, some of the stuff mentioned with regards which series was better, he's like, no. So, that'll do it for this week, folks. We'll see you next week for episode 177. And I have a special treat with regards to that. Because I'm on time off for the next 2 weeks, May 1 and May 8, we're going back to the original time of starting at 9 in the evening, because that's the deal. If I ever get time off and, I don't have to go to work on a Sunday night, we go back to 9 in the evening, plus it gives Raiden enough time to get some senzu beans and to put himself back up to full energy.
Yeah.
Imagine I'm too tired. Oscar's just walked in and she's smiling. I'm up. Well, that'd be like if, Caitlyn suddenly walks in. Liz's like, I'm tired. Oh, Caitlyn's just walked in. Hello.
Yeah, I'm up.
Yeah, I got to get up for. Mickey James just came in. She just cloned herself. Good evening, Miss James. I am Lord Senator Kaku I. How may I be of assistance to you? Honey! What?
No, I get that pulling my hair. Not happening. Let's go.
But it's Mickey James. Mickey James.
No.
Will there be a three-way?
I don't think we're allowed to talk about that on Twitch. Yes, we can't talk about stuff like that on Twitch, so no.
My apologies.
It's alright. Besides, yeah, things will be worked out later, really. How? Yes, I'll do as I'm told. What did he say? You don't want to know. Okay, I thought I'd get a little bit more of a laugh, but never mind. Until next week at 9 p.m. for the special start time next week UK time, I have been the Knight saying good night from the night.
Hey.
See ya.
And don't forget to check out Kaiju Noir's book, although he wasn't with us, I'll still promote it anyway. Primal Warrior Draco Azul, now available on Amazon, Kindle, and Comixology, issues 1, 2, and 3, as well as the tie-in book, Full Metal Chronicles.
Thank you very much, Steven. That is the worst kaiju impression ever. Take it easy, folks. See you next week at 9.
Bye.
Yeah.